Welcome back to Mideast in Depth. Today we are considering how rational or revolutionary Iran is, according to opinions across the international press. Fareed Zakaria points out in Lebanon's Daily Star that at the heart of the concern surrounding the deal with Iran is a simple question: is Iran rational? Zakaria cites Kenneth Pollack from his book Unthinkable: Iran, the Bomb and American Strategy, where he carefully reviews decades of Iran's foreign policy and shows that Iran has been not just rational but prudent, pushing forward when it sees an opportunity, backing off when it sees dangers. The journalist clarifies, rational does not mean reasonable. It means that the regime wants to thrive, and given that goal, it calculates costs and benefits and acts accordingly. But it is worth asking a broader question as well: is Iran being reasonable? He advises the reader to look at a map of the Middle East. Shiite Iran is surrounded by hostile Sunni states. Across the Persian Gulf sits Saudi Arabia, its arch-enemy, fanatically anti-Shiite and armed to the teeth. In Iraq and Syria, Iran faces large Sunni insurgencies dedicated to slaughtering the Shiites. Add to this the nuclear dimension. Iran has several nuclear-armed neighbors: Pakistan, India, Russia, China and Israel. He adds, plus Iran has faced active opposition from the world superpower for more than 3 decades. When Iraq attacked Iran shortly after the Islamic Revolution, the United States quietly supported Saddam Hussein, even as he used chemical weapons against the Iranians. Zakaria ponders, given these realities, is it so bizarre that Iran has behaved as it has? Would a secular, hyper-rational country facing this same array of threats have acted differently? He concludes, the Lausanne framework appears to strike that balance for Iran. There is no guarantee that its supreme leader will accept the trade-offs, but the offer forces him to make a rational calculation and live with the consequences. Peter Beinart writes in The Atlantic that if you read critics of Obama's framework nuclear deal, you'll find a lot of talk about Iran's revolutionary foreign policy. The writer doesn't buy the term revolutionary as an epithet. After all, it's not Ayatollah Khamenei who sent hundreds of thousands of troops to overthrow an Arab regime in hopes of fomenting revolution across the Middle East. Criticizing Iran for exporting tyranny or theocracy or terrorism makes sense. Criticizing it for exporting revolution when you want America to export revolutions of its own does not. Like the United States, Iran is trying to keep the post-Saddam order together. Although Tehran has at times fomented sectarian strife in Iraq, Iran has good relations with the Kurds, whom it has aided in their fight against ISIS. He admits, to be fair, Iran's foreign policy is more revolutionary in Yemen and Israel. In Yemen, Iran is funding and arming Houthi rebels, seeking to replace the country's former president, Abd Rabu Mansour Hadi, but Tehran's role in the conflict is still far less heavy-handed than that of Saudi Arabia, which is bombing its southern neighbor and blockading its ports. He also concedes that Iran doesn't want Israel to exist. That's pretty revolutionary. But even there, Iran is careful about the means it uses to pursue its revolutionary goals. Iran, backs Hezbollah and, to a lesser degree, Hamas. Yet Iran doesn't push its terrorist allies to go all out against Israel, regardless of the consequences. He concludes by saying that Iranian leaders may call their foreign policy revolutionary, but while Iran certainly wants to reduce America's influence in the Middle East, at least as long as Iran and the United States remain foes, that effort is guided more by power politics than messianic ideology, and rarely does Tehran act recklessly. For more updates, please visit levant.tv. And subscribe to Mideast in Depth on iTunes. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.